Greetings and salutations. This is actually just a third video section I've made that if I'm going to edit all this thing into one video, I'm going to set this in the front of the other two. So I made this third to stick in front of the first one. So okay, in this video there's going to be occasional profanity. It's one of those rare moments. I'm going to rant a little bit about someone ranting about an issue which they have no power over changing, but by their ranting will actually feed into the toxic energy that generates in it. And yeah, it's just one of those things. You got a culture. It gets big enough that there's divergent opinions about things, and toxicity happens. It's just inherent to choice and variety and options. And seeing as humans have evolved, we are in the post game in reality, where we have evolved past and moved past the vast majority of actual real problems, and we have so much opulence now that dumb problems have been amplified into major problems. And I'm not going to define dumb problems because some people really seriously believe some dumb problems are serious. As Violent J of the Insane Clown Posse says, the rich cut themselves because the grass ain't green enough. And then on to the main body of the video. Greetings and salutations, Internet Distance. It is Iowa Photech. And, yeah, this thing. NoNat of NoNat Ones has posted a video about people needing to stop doing a thing. He refers to it as toxicity. And then he continues on. He's super serious.
This is not a video I thought I would need to make. This is also a video I hoped I wouldn't have to make, but a lot of you have made it clear that you don't understand. There has been a lot of toxicity going around in the Pathfinder community.
At this moment, when I first saw this video, I thought to myself, yeah, there is inherent toxicity in a community. It just kind of is one of those things that evolves into a culture. The moment that there is enough people in a group to have coalitions of opinion is the moment that there's toxicity that forms. So I'm not entirely certain as to what kind of toxicity he's starting into here. And so yeah.
And beyond, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. You yourself might not even realize you're committing to this toxic behavior, and so I'm here to hopefully bring light to it. I want to emphasize, none of this is me saying I'm holier than thou, none of this is me saying you're even necessarily wrong in your belief, but I am here to tell you that the way you're going about it...
He prefaces that it's not a as holy as thou thing, and then he takes it upon himself to tell people the proper way, which is basically sorry but not sorry kind of situation, or to put it lightly, I don't want to beat you up, but I'm going to beat you up now.
Is incredibly disrespectful and wrong. So if you...
And then he goes into disrespectful and wrong, and I'm thinking like to myself, like, okay, what kind of disrespectful and wrong thing there is? There's a lot of problems in the TTRPG community, and he specified specifically the Pathfinder community, so he automatically stuck a pin in the Pathfinder community, implicating them as having some kind of wrong opinion, and he's one of the most famous Pathfinder 2nd edition YouTubers in the group. So okay, I'm like, is he now going to be the president of the Pathfinder community and tell everyone how to do everything right now?
If you take offense to this or feel like I'm insulting you in some way, I'm not. That is 100% not my intent, and I'm sorry if you take it.
That is very nice that he says that. However, he kind of yo-yos from a high moral position, talking down to people, to a soft position, and this could actually be construed as a form of either emotional manipulation or just him trying to walk the fence. And walking the fence is a form of social emotional manipulation. However, it is in that gray zone between social manipulation for the positive and social manipulation for the negative.
That way. Stop telling people to play.
Okay, stop telling people to play. Okay, people are telling people to play something. Okay.
Pathfinder instead. You are not doing this.
Oh, that's the toxicity. Okay, toxicity. What kind of context is this? Stop telling people to play Pathfinder instead.
System any favors. You are not doing the community any favors, and you're not doing the target any favors. I've talked to.
Okay, so apparently he has a beef with people telling other people, hey, just play Pathfinder instead. Okay, what kind of why are people telling these other people why to play Pathfinder instead?
Multiple D&D content creators and seen their tweets commenting on how sick they are of hearing people say, oh, you wish for a better action economy in 5e? Why not just play Pathfinder?
Okay, this is now into like the golden moment here. People in modern society exist in a form of an extreme privilege. The vast majority of the horrors of the past have been conquered to the point where people have very few problems. It's just literally budgeting their time, energy, and resources to achieve the state of happiness they think they can achieve with that. The problem with that is it turns into the grass is greener on the other side, and a few other fun, quirky perception tricks that people get into. Yes, indeed. I was going to drag all my books out and make a display to show all the TTRPGs I have. But anyways, I was going to make a joke on top of this by pulling out an obscure one and then being a fanboy for it. But, okay. Anyways, so apparently D&D YouTubers are complaining about something about Dungeons and Dragons, but then again, you could just go ahead and just say, people who are fans of X system or proponents of X system complain about stuff about X system, and then people show up saying, hey, try out this system, and those people that are complaining about their system are upset that people show up and tell them, hey, try out this system. Poof. Because XYZ. First and foremost, this is going down a rabbit hole of feelings and some loaded terms and concepts. I have to seriously, like, oh dear, do I want to use the technical term for that? Oh no. Because this is a situation where it could easily spiral up into flame war. And because NoNat has decided to specifically make this video basically wagging his finger at the people in the Pathfinder community. Hey, don't do this, in spite of the fact that there is this group of people who are complaining about a thing, and you show up and suggest some stuff and give them XYZ reason why they should try it. And the people complaining about the thing are upset that you gave them advice they're complaining about their thing, they're then complaining about people complaining, giving them advice for their thing. First and foremost, the ultimate rule: all problems are contextual and relative to one's own personal perspective on that problem. Brain farted that one hard, but anyways, all problems are a combination of perception and the range of understanding of that builds your perception. In other words, if you play literally just Call of Cthulhu 7th edition, and there's a thing about Call of Cthulhu 7th edition you don't care for, and you've never played any other TTRPG, you end up with the problem of you don't have the full range of understanding what's out there outside of your own TTRPG scene. So then you have the issue of, like, you may not know exactly the nature of the problem that you're complaining about. Why is it XYZ thing? So there's that. And also you may not entirely know the solution to that problem. And the fun thing about playing other systems, collecting other systems, reading, playing, game mastering other systems, is that you learn a variety of mechanics and skills and solutions for various problems for systems, and then you can more effectively homebrew a better solution for the problem within your system. But also you may actually go into understanding another system better, and you might actually like, oh yeah, this is actually a way better system, or I like stuff about this system, but I don't like other stuff. So now that I have A and B as reference points instead of just A, I now have depth in my understanding of systems. I keep saying system and then having to correct and say systems. But there you go. At telling people go ahead and try another system, or go and try this specific system for a specific reason, is a legitimately good reason. Then there is also the side detail on top of that, is that people don't like being told a solution to their problem. And this reminds me of that fun little meme where person A is complaining or ranting about an issue or something, and person B shows up with a folder with, it says, the answer or a solution, and they hand it to person A. Person A looks at the solution or answer, they get upset, rip it up, throw it to the side, and says, I do not want a solution or an answer, I want to complain about the problem. And then there's a portion of people who really just want to complain about a problem because it draws attention to them, and people are fascinated by the problem or drama, and they don't actually want the problem solved. They just want to complain about the problem so they have attention on them. And in the case of YouTubers, you get into this dangerous territory where some of these people are really into attention, and they may not necessarily want to solve a problem, or they don't necessarily like solutions to their problem because it's not a solution they came up with or championed or something or other. They kind of have to own something about it. And I'm going to continue on, click onto this again.
Do you realize how pompous that sounds and how much that makes...
Yes, same thing as No Nat's video and my video.
Them not want to play Pathfinder?
And then he goes into them declare the D&D YouTubers, or really any YouTuber for that matter, of a system, then deciding they don't want to play another system. First and foremost, that is called the backfire effect. Someone else tells someone a thing, they present evidence and all kinds of reason. They could like literally just pile on systematical reason exactly why this and that does not work. And because the person telling the other person B is telling person A exact detail about the issue, person A may in fact feel really stupid. Humans are inherently stupid, including me, by the way. You have to accept this. A intelligent, emotionally mature individual who studied psychology, philosophy, biology, etc. I've gone through my bout with nihilism, and have come out on the other side. Humans are emotional animals that have the capacity to reason themselves into and out of problems, real or fake. And I'm getting really into a dangerous territory now, because people may construe me saying this, that No Nat is a moron, but in fact he may actually just be operating from an emotional point, which is a dangerous territory to say. He might be mixing emotion into his argument, which is a dangerous territory to go into, because when you start mixing emotion with your argument or your thought process, it degrades the stages of your thought process. If you become enraged or fearful, studies have shown that fear and rage can reduce your IQ by 50%. So you say like you have 100 IQ, you have an IQ of 50, approximately. I don't know if he thought this out extensively beforehand, but this is a situation where I don't even know if I want to post this video now, because this actually is... His video is a stir into drama. My video is a thing, and it feeds into drama. And me and him are in really messed up territories where we're trying to throw opinion and thought into something, and it might literally stir into drama. And my original comment in his video was that toxicity is an inherent thing to culture, and D&D versus Pathfinder, or D&D versus Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, or D&D versus Call of Cthulhu, or D&D or Pathfinder versus RuneQuest, or so forth. It all is just one of those situations where you have enough people in a community and you have enough options where people can segregate off into different groups, and they have enough stuff in those different areas to play around in, and then one group complains about a thing, and another group sees what they're talking about, and sees like, oh, this is the solution from our system for your system. If you try out our system, you would see how our system solves that problem. and then the other group is like, oh no, don't tell me how to play, and kind of shit like that, and you end up with just right fighting, and right fighting is wrong. People really need to stop doing that. However, I'm a emotionally and intelligently mature enough person to know, even if I was Matthew Mercer and I declared that, hey, don't be toxic, these are the 10 things of toxicity you shall never do, TTRPG community, or if you continue to commit to these toxic things, I will literally end Critical Role right now and never put it back on air. Everyone in Critical Role is going to sign a contract stating that they can never play TTRPGs or talk about TTRPGs in public again. Or as long as you guys stop. And what's going to happen is Matthew Mercer and everyone of Critical Role is going to have to shut down their operation, because no matter how big you are in the TTRPG scene, it is impossible for you to stop these toxic things. I air quote, because some of them are toxic behavior, and some of them are toxic behavior because people don't like being told, hey, there is other things you can go try, and trying them out might actually be a reasonable solution. There's also this other side conversation we have to have about a portion of the D&D 5e community not liking the idea of a new edition in the future or having to change systems. This happens all the time. There's Pathfinder First Edition people who are literally like, Pathfinder First Edition is the only Pathfinder edition there is. There's no ifs, or ands, or buts. Second edition is an abomination. And to them, I have to say, like, fine, you can play your first edition. I do suggest you should still try Pathfinder Second Edition. You may, in fact, enjoy it. No one's taking away your Pathfinder First Edition books. You can switch between the two systems whenever you want. You can try out Starfinder. You can try out D&D 4th Edition, 5th Edition, 3.5. Go over to Call of Cthulhu. Play the Mutant Epoch. That was the gaming system I was actually originally going to make a joke about. Seriously, try out the Mutant Epoch. You can play multi-limbed humanoids. It's two-handed people, three-handed people, cyborgs, cat-dog people. It's an extensive system of tons of fun. But anyways, that was the system I was going to make a fun of. Like, please try my system. No, seriously. However, there's more options in the TTRPG scene. I do have to say that Mutant Epoch is a random roll system for your character generation. So you got D100 and D16 tables where you just randomly roll whatever you want for a character up. So you got a lot of options to roll up. That's just the start of it. But anyways, you truly gain understanding for the problem in your TTRPG community or your TTRPGs by playing multiple other TTRPGs. And the best game masters and the best players play more than one TTRPG system because they learn new, fun, interesting stuff from other TTRPG systems, and they expand their horizons. Also, going back to my original point, is that people who absolutely do not want to switch systems, that is natural. That occurs all the time. However, it is not entirely healthy to be like anti-system. For the D&D YouTubers who I do not want to play another system. I want to play Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, and that's the only edition I want to play. Here's some horrifying news for you. A, if you're trying to make a living on tabletop gaming on YouTube or anywhere, personally, I don't give a crap about making a living on TTRPGs in general. I just post stuff. I post all kinds of stuff. I move back and forth between my various channels, posting stuff. If something does take off, that's awesome bonus sauce. Other than that, I could like give a crap. I will start with D&D 5th edition and 5th edition on my channel, and then just drift away from it, and then mix in more other stuff. And I actually let that sit so long that it actually caused it to.
Here's a crowd, please.
Caused it to shut off. It went to an ad. But anyways, people who want to make a living doing YouTube content, if you are purely a single system, single edition person, there will be a time when Wizards of the Coast changes from 5th edition to 5.5, or what I think is going to happen, they're going to come out and call it Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, or Dungeons & Dragons Advanced. Either or. You know, you put the Advanced on top, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, or Dungeons & Dragons Advanced. And at that point, you're going to either move along with them, or they're going to come out with 6th edition, and then all of a sudden you have to buy entirely new books. And odds are, when Wizards of the Coast switches over to the next update version of Dungeons & Dragons, they're going to somewhat obsolete various books in the current edition of Dungeons & Dragons, and you're going to have to buy new books because the stuff from your old books is going to be underpowered or going to have compatibility issues moving forward into future Dungeons & Dragons editions or versions. So it is you're going to be forced into changing or updating your system anyways, or switching. And you don't know, in a year or two, in 2020, when we get around to 2024 and we get to the update Dungeons & Dragons for 5th edition, that might not go over too well. Wizards of the Coast might make various decisions with D&D Beyond where they completely lock off or shut down various books, which they have already done. And based on their history, they will do, because they literally did that with Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition. They switched from 4th edition, and they completely threw 4th edition. They switched from 4th edition to 5th edition, and they completely threw 4th edition right into a dumpster. You can't buy the stuff for 4th edition anymore, and you can't buy new stuff from them for 4th edition, and they don't support their old website for 4th edition. They threw that into a dumpster. And you're now going to have to buy 5th edition, and the same thing is going to happen with 6th edition and so forth. So putting all your money into the online and TTRPG systems is literally just going to force you into buying entire new sets of books. And if you only invested in D&D Beyond books, you will literally run into the moment where they shut down the 5th edition catalog, and they literally force you into buying the 6th edition catalog. And it moved forward in time, and then I had to backtrack it a little bit.
And do you realize how pompous that sounds and how much that makes them not want to play Pathfinder? And don't worry, I understand where you are coming from. You think, hey, I'm going to type one comment and tell this person, hey, you should play Pathfinder. And in a vacuum, it's innocuous enough. The problem comes when 1,000 people all comment the exact same thing on the same video? Hey, you should play Pathfinder instead. Don't you know this is in Pathfinder? You wouldn't have this problem if you were playing Pathfinder. Wow, you're...
He goes off into like the worst examples I've seen, and then only like sprinkles in the moderate ones here and there. A lot of people will list off like, well, yeah, if you have an issue with the balancing of the CR system, Pathfinder has a elegant system for calculating encounter complexity. That's the word I use for it. Counter difficulty for your monsters, and you should follow it as close as possible because it is pretty damn good. But anyways, is checking out Pathfinder 2nd Edition and checking out how they balance monsters and the system is really fun. And some people will literally complain about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition's broken CR system day and night, and then not offer up any solutions. And the problem is, when people complain about problems and they don't actually come up with solutions to the problem, oftentimes it's just them trying to get attention, as I said before, and it's not healthy and it's not good, and it's also toxicity and drama. So he is labeling a thing that is as toxicity that is actually also a counter to toxicity and drama as well. So you have Group A, who is generating toxicity and drama, and then Group B offers up something, and then Group A doesn't like it, and then complains and adds toxicity and drama. But then there's also the fact that Group B shows up in a massive group and then says something, and then there's literally is, as he says, there are dumb people who basically like just play Pathfinder. That is non-specific and non-helpful. If you're going to go and give advice, please give details about why. Oh, yeah, this is solved in Pathfinder. They actually have worked out a beautiful chart and calculations, and they rebalance the entire system from CR to levels of monsters. Differentiation between the level of the monster or monsters and the number of monsters and the experience points, and you can actually total up all the experience points and the levels to a chart, and you can see that that situation is a deadly situation or a severe situation. And of course, you can go ahead and put your players in the severe situation and find out it is in fact actually severe. So, there you go. Sometimes I don't explain shit terribly well, but hey.
Playing a bad system. Play Pathfinder. Stop it!
I do enjoy Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. It has a lot of problems. A lot of what Dungeons & Dragons does well is it does really good with marketing and name recognition. It has some awesome stuff mixed into it. And it's not terribly balanced and set low levels or high levels. Like you have like everything under level 3 is really dangerous, and everything over level 10 and is poorly calculated out. It's like Dungeons & Dragons 3rd edition. Is this literally a Dungeons & Dragons 3rd edition situation again? Yeah. Update 2024. The jokes about people like, oh, it's Dungeons & Dragons 5.5. Yeah, it's Wizards of the Coast is literally repeating the same screw-up problem again.
They're really getting sick of it. And honestly, I am too. I see it all over Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, commenting on...
You live on the internet, which is a terrible thing. Don't live on the internet, okay? If you spend all your time... This is the problem with some influencers and influencers on the internet. It's not even just like TTRPG. It's like nerd culture, fashion culture. political culture. If you live on the internet and you roam around it enough, you will come across crazy shit all the time. And like, to me, it's like if someone says, "Oh, I let my kid on the internet," it's like, I live on the internet. Under no condition should you ever let children on the internet unsupervised for extended amounts of time, because the internet is a horrifyingly toxic place. It's largely due to anonymity and the fact that the amount of energy and effort to put something out there and then throw up a protective wall around yourself to hide from it, but yet at the same time have super easy, quick access to all the stuff and move around it really quickly. And you can get this little subsections of people that congregate together with similar ideologies, and they kind of go off into what's called the rabbit hole, where they just go down and down and down, deeper and deeper. Yeah, the internet's a toxic place. If you do not like toxicity, you get the heck off of the internet. I'm not joking. If I'm gonna go and do like Nonat and like go into a rant video and tell you stop doing this, stop doing that, I'm not trying to be self-righteous or anything. Just please stop doing it. First and foremost, you will never achieve anything in that department. It's literally impossible. It is so far beyond his capability. It's beyond Matt Mercer's capability. It's literally beyond anyone's capability to stop toxicity on the internet, to a point that complaining about toxicity is in fact a form of feeding toxicity. It's also the old line with the internet trolls: do not feed internet trolls. Complaining about toxicity is feeding internet trolls. So the problem, we have this really messed up situation where trying to solve a problem in fact feeds the problem, because the internet is its own thing, and once you put things into the internet, it spreads outward and echoes off of all the little weird niches of the internet and comes back. So yeah, my advice to people who do not like toxicity on the internet is that the only thing you can truly control is yourself. You can't control other people at all. You can tell them whatever the hell you want to tell them. It's not going to move anything. I'm sorry I swear so many times in this video. I rarely ever swear at all. And I hate to give that advice, like, hey, I know what you're trying to do. I understand where you're coming from, B, where the other people are coming from, C, how it interacts between Group A, Group B, and Group C, and how Group C interacts with Group A. And I know that it is fundamentally futile to try to do that, yet at the same time, I understand why it's, like, admirable to want to, like, hey, stop doing this. But they're not going to stop doing it. Telling people to stop doing it, you're going to get literally the backfire effect. He's complaining about the backfire effect. Like Pathfinder 2nd Edition people telling Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition people, hey, you're complaining about these issues. Pathfinder 2nd Edition has solutions for those issues. And then the Dungeons & Dragons people say, I don't want to change systems. Which, funny enough, if you're making YouTube content based around a system or an edition, you will have to change eventually. If you're just playing for fun, you don't have to change. And I mean, if you are wanting to make money or make a living off of making content, you will have to change. But if you're doing it for fun, you don't have to change. You just continue on, okay? And also stop complaining about it. Because if you're going to complain about it and don't like the advice, it's not going to do any good for you to complain about getting advice. Because, you know what? If you ever get people complaining about getting advice, you should pretty much stop following them. Because they're not growing as an individual. But anyways, back to this.
Random people's posts just venting a complaint they had about their last session, and someone slides in with, have you considered changing...
First and foremost, this is called the internet. People, if the moment you post anything anywhere on the internet, it is public, and anyone can show up to comment on it. You need to be an emotionally mature individual and understand that, hey, if you are posting something in the public forum, people will show up and comment about it. If you do not want people, this is really freaky because this is one of the few instances where I stare directly into my camera, and you watch so many of my other videos and I will not look into the camera because, you know, staring directly at someone is a act of intensity. Okay? Seriously? But if you post something on the public forum, people will come in and talk, offer advice or see it or talk about it. If you do not want people to interject into your private conversation, you do it over direct message, or you go and talk to a person in person, or you call them up on a phone. Like, you direct message someone if you're talking on Twitter and you don't want a conversation to be public, you go to direct message on Twitter and you direct message the person, and then no one else is going to interject into your conversation. That is the intelligent move right there. You go from open forum to private forum. Open messaging to private messaging. Because if you are posting in public, people are going to see it. And some people are going to talk to you or talk about it in your thread or anything like that. And it's not even your thread. Once you put it out there, it's out there. So if you don't want people to interject, go private. Okay?
Systems and learning it completely new and abandoning the system you love.
You do not have to abandon the previous system. Seriously. People show up, tell you, hey, there's the solution for this in Pathfinder 2nd Edition for your problem. Paizo solved it. Or if you want a game system that is less leveling, power gamey, go over to Call of Cthulhu. You just roll up characters, you role play it out. You don't even have to do any combat or anything. The system is basically built around investigation, mystery, and horror. That's an awesome solution. You don't want a game that's based strongly towards, like, that moves towards, or a community that moves towards combat. You just go from Dungeons and Dragons, you go over to Call of Cthulhu, and you play Call of Cthulhu. That system is actually very well built for social interactions and mystery and intrigue and so forth. So, and you don't have to abandon your previous system. As long as you physically own the books, you have a copy of the system, and you can continue to play it forever.
99.9% of to fix this one problem. Have you heard of Path?
He's at the end of this, by the way, he says he doesn't want to make any jokes, but during the whole thing he makes tons of jokes. But anyways, he made an extreme exaggeration right there. Oh yeah, there's this one tiny problem, and you can solve it by abandoning everything else you love and enjoy. No, you do not have to abandon everything else. Just move over and go, I'm going to run out of time on the record on this video. But anyways, I'm going to have to do a part 2 on this if I don't get through this.
Theatrics aside, it's not just content creators who are getting sick of this. It's people. I have heard stories of people who are like, man, my friends won't.
Content creators, and then he not only content creators, but also people. Aren't content creators also people? He made an artificial
play
divide.
Pathfinder with me. And I'm like, well, what have you done? And they're like, I've just like brought it up every time we get together, or like we're playing in a session, and if Pathfinder would do something better, I tend to mention that. I'm like, that's part of the problem. You will not convince someone of something by hammering it in over and over again. If someone has said no, and you continue talking, they're not gonna change their answer. In fact, it's going to get annoying when they say no.
He is correct, though. You don't want to constantly hammer people with the same thing over and over again. If you truly want to go into Pathfinder 2nd Edition, you do the smart thing, and you like, okay, I am willing to run a campaign. However, I'm offering it as Pathfinder 2nd Edition campaign. If you are interested, let's go ahead and play Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Otherwise, we can keep on going with Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. Other than that, it's just it. And then if people are interested, we could schedule on a separate day from our regular Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and go from there.
I like playing D&D 5e or Fate Core, and you say, but wait, but what about this, but what about that? You're not helping your case. If a person is interested in trying out a system like Pathfinder 2e, they will either do it on their own.
Some people simply do not know about the existence of the Mutant Epoch or Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and sometimes you have to actually bring it up before they actually realize what it is, and you might even have to show them some stuff of it.
Or they might agree after.
But you don't want to push it too much.
If you ask, how about we try Pathfinder 2e next campaign? And they go,
there's my
no,
advice.
I'm not really interested. Drop it. Don't keep trying to say, well, it has a cool action economy. Well, it's got cool class options. Well, no, stop with the well. You're just being annoying.
The smarter solution is, on top of that, is actually like, I'm thinking about Pathfinder 2nd Edition for a future campaign. I'm going to share this playlist of videos on Pathfinder 2nd Edition. If you are interested, go ahead at any point in time and go ahead and watch some of these videos and come back and tell me what you think. If not enough people are interested in it, it will just simply continue on with Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. If you're the game master or dungeon master who really wants to go into a different system, and you're getting really tired of the current system you're playing, you might want to just simply tell the players, like, I'm actually getting tired of running X system. If someone wants to continue, if we want to continue on with X system, someone's going to have to jump up and run X system so I can recharge. Otherwise, I'm actually interested in running this other system, and if people simply want to play a system and I'm going to run it, we can go ahead and try this system. People are going to make a decision off of that then.
Like, and you know, I'm usually an incredibly positive force here on this channel. I don't like making negative videos like this.
I'm the same way, no, Nat. In fact, I should have started this video with me stating that I'm a generally positive force person, and I try to be positive as much as possible. My video last week about the drama was like very unbiased. But there's no reason not to be biased here, because what you are doing is intrinsically harmful. I'm going to have to make this a part 2.
Not only to the target, not only to the system, but to the reputation of the Pathfinder 2e community. So many people I've talked to for the first time, and
yeah. Greetings and salutations. This is part 2 of my reaction to NoNat's Stop It video. I have limited time on my recordings on my camera. Once it gets to like 4 gigabytes, it just cuts off. So, boom. See part 1 for my general the beginning half of it. In fact, I think I pretty much covered a good chunk of it in part 1. However, there's more video of NoNats, and this is more or less me covering specifically the issues he continues on with. To see what I talked about previously, if I do not go back over it again, or I don't go and bother editing this video into the tail end of the other video, because I've been experimenting with that stuff, and I was trained as a traditional physical media artist, paintings, sculptures, welding, woodworking, stuff like that. I was never trained in electronics, strange things. I'm a video gamer, but I'm console side. So I never got around to like digital art. I can paint a beautiful vista of a mountain on canvas with actual paint. Or I can draw a forest with an actual pencil on paper. Digital stuff, I don't have anything in digital. I'm not good with, I haven't ever been trained on digital stuff. So, but this is starting into at the 4:14 mark on his Stop It video of Nonat1's video.
They'll say, "Oh, you played Pathfinder 2e? You mean the one with the toxic fan base?"
Yes, all fan bases. The moment that a fan base gets big, or sufficiently big enough to have differentiating opinions in it, there is always going to develop a toxic component to it. You will never get rid of that toxic component, because the toxic component is derived from an intense passion for a thing. If you were to completely eliminate that toxic component, or that portion of the gaming population that is labeled as being toxic, the thing dies. The thing dies horribly, because it loses all energy, and the moment that the winds of change blow in a different direction, that thing just dies. So if you get rid of like the toxic component of the Pathfinder community, or the toxic component of the Dungeons and Dragons community, and it's all just happy, popular kind of people, the winds change, and the company that runs that brand goes out of business, because a lot of the fair weather people and the people that float around, or the people who don't really get super passionate about stuff, and they just like buy the core rule book and they just homebrew everything else, kind of loose, are not a big enough market, nor are they willing to buy tons and tons of merchandise and stuff for that market to sustain that market. Where you get into a weird little... I started this video touching it a little bit into psychology and a little bit into philosophy and biological psychology and philosophy. And then I in this video I wander into economics and socioeconomics.
And I don't want the game to be known for this, because the game is fantastic. It's such a well-designed system.
It is a really well-designed system. This is also a really well-designed system. This is called the Mutant Epoch by Outland Arts. It's an awesome system. People should be interested. There's also Lion and Dragon. That's also an awesome system by the RPG Pundit. And there's also Call of Cthulhu, RuneQuest, and many other fun systems you can play. And the more systems you play as a player, the better you become as a player. And the more systems you game master, the better the game master you become. Editions and systems. The best game masters I've ever known have ran multiple different systems in multiple editions. Because once you've ran multiple different systems or editions, you end up gaining so much depth in your toolbox that you can actually like, oh yeah, this system is really nice. I could see where they were going with this. However, there's this issue here. I could just simply swap this component out of this system stick it in here, see how it works. It works fairly well, but there's still some stuff that needs to be tweaking. Continue on from there.
But because the people who are playing it are constantly talking about how great...
This is a culture thing. I almost wanted to say nerd culture thing, but this is a culture thing. This is inherent to a culture. The only way you could stop people from projecting like Call of Cthulhu is an amazing system, you should try Call of Cthulhu. It's a skill-based system. It's not level-based, so you don't have tons of classes or feats. It's like that. You don't get the hyper optimization culture with it. So amazing. You just roll up a character, you decide what kind of base occupation, you arrange your skill points into your various skills, and as you play, your character gains proficiency in skill by using their level, the points they have in that system, making it easier to pass as that checks on that skill. And it's totally organic. You just naturally, and the same thing with RuneQuest. RuneQuest has a skill-based system. Everyone is basically level 1, and you basically just gain experience. As far as gaining experience from doing stuff, it basically, being successful at certain things makes you more likely to get better at those things, and your character evolves and grows as they do things going into the game. So you could start out as a character that's oriented towards spellcasting, and your character will evolve basically around how you play and how your character interacts with the situation, as opposed to you coming up with some optimal build or something. So it's really conducive to role-playing, RuneQuest and Call of Cthulhu, which is really interesting how people who get really into Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, it's more of a role-play system. It's rules light. It's a war game that has a ton of rules about combat, some basic stuff mixed over with social encounters. You're playing a derivative of a war game that just happens to leave things loose enough in the social interaction that you can basically play around with it a little bit. Where Call of Cthulhu and RuneQuest is really built into the mechanics of social interaction and interacting with the world around your character in a intelligent manner, and you can grow and evolve your character through your interactions with the world, as opposed to just you gained a level and you all of a sudden, for whatever strange reason, you gain this ability you never really used before as a character.
It doesn't seem that great. Now, let me take a step back. This is not the majority of you. This is a small percentage of Pathfinder players who feel the need to yell and validate their decisions. And I know the first argument they always bring up is, well, D&D people have been making fun of us for playing.
This is true of all cultures and subcultures and niche cultures, whether it's gamer, nerd, jock, political, geek, dork. I've had an interesting argument over what is geek and what is dork and what is nerd. I have my own favorite preference in that structural order of the somewhat intellectual to fairly intellectual to weirdly niche intellectual factions. But
playing Pathfinder for years. Who cares? Let them be the smaller person and you be the bigger one. If someone...
Yeah, it's like... Let them be the smaller person and you be the bigger person. Yeah, I know. That's all. Oh, I just knocked my sword over. Nonat has his sword in his video. It's Sting. I have an actual Viking sword. I just like stuck my sword right there. I'm like, I know I'm going to like interject into this situation. I might as well need my sword just in case the neckbeards come through my door, and I had to fight them off. Incidentally, I probably would win. I work at a metal scrapyard. I pick up metal that's heavier than some neckbeards.
Bullies you, you don't bully them back. That's not how
Two wrongs don't make a right, but the first wrong is not necessarily any more or less wrong than the second wrong. And the second wrong is no more worse or less worse than the first wrong, okay? People are dicks sometimes, particularly when they're passionate and they love something, okay? The solution for all the people is that they should try different systems. They should look up The Mutant Epoch by Outland Arts. It's an amazing system with tons and tons of stuff. This book is just crammed with all kinds of tasty goodness. It even has a nice, beautiful index in the back. And this is all the stuff for it. And it's nicely organized and numbered, too. See, right on the spine, there's a number. That's book 1. It's literally one... Oops. Brain farted that one. Yay! But anyways, I brain farted. I just hit the power off button because the power off button is right above the OK button. It's just... first and foremost, the golden rule is that no matter how smart someone is, they will do incredibly stupid things. There is a general myth in nerd, geek, dork culture that intelligence precludes people from doing stupid shit. First and foremost, I have learned, and through my various studies of psychology, philosophy, biology, and so forth, that stupid people, smart people do really stupid shit. They will oftentimes do it in a fashion in which they have systemized, said stupid thing in so exactly it makes perfect sense. Okay? And they could cite systematically why it's a smart thing to do. When someone else that's also really intelligent sits down and digs through all the details and yeah, you just self-rationalized your really, really fucking stupid decision. And that I rarely swear, and I'm rarely ever really negative in my videos. I try to be super positive, and in fact, I try to avoid posting political or posting political stuff or too much other shit like that. It runs people really wrong. Drama shit. But this is drama shit.
And you be the bigger one. If someone bullies you, you don't bully them back. That's not how a fight is.
Actually, he's a theater dork. Sometimes when a bully shows up and starts bullying you, the real solution is punch that fucking bully right out. The bully suddenly realizes that you will stand up against them, and they will back off and stop trying to screw with you. But of course, there is also... You need to gauge whether you should even punch them or if it's even worth them. If it's something like, say it's just they annoyed you once or twice, or say they have the wrong political opinion or the wrong opinion about something, and they're just slightly annoying about it. Okay, it's not a big deal. You don't hit the crap out of them. If the bully shows up and starts harassing the snot out of you, and they start pushing you around and they physically do action against you, hitting them is actually probably a decent option in itself. You have to gauge the moment of your counter action. And each instance is slightly different, so we have to be very careful about when you punch back, because sometimes if you don't punch back, it's just going to keep going and get worse. And these D&D YouTubers that complain about people telling them, hey, try Pathfinder, you literally need to tell them, no, I am not interested in Pathfinder. And then the solution then back to them is like, stop complaining about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, because you are just complaining about it for attention. And if you don't like solutions that people are giving you or options, just shut up about complaining about it. Okay?
Resolved. That's how you get a fight. So I don't care what
Sometimes fights just happen.
people have said in the past. I don't care if people have not converted to Pathfinder and that makes you angry. It shouldn't.
I don't know anyone who's angry that people have not converted to Pathfinder. I live on the internet. I don't know if he's strawmanning that in, or just like he's projecting into someone or something, projecting about something, or making assumptions about how the emotional state of other people. It does annoy me when people complain about things and they get advice and they like don't want to follow the advice. Like, I don't want advice. I don't want the answer. I just want to complain about something. That is not healthy. That is not productive. That is toxicity. That is drama. That increases the overall stress level of people all around them. And it creates problems. So this video is trying to solve a problem by defending another problem.
Let them play the game they want. Because guess what? They're letting you play the game you...
They're not letting you play the game you want. They literally can't do anything about you playing the game you want to play or not play with the game you want. Yeah.
want. Somewhat off topic, I'm very sick of seeing people make generalizations about a person based on what game they enjoy. And this isn't just the Pathfinder community. I'm sick of people saying, oh, you're a Pathfinder player? Guess you like math and not roleplay. Oh, you play D&D? Guess you're an idiot who can't handle it. Oh, you play Call of Cthulhu? Okay, yeah, no, everybody likes you. That's a really great game.
I agree. Call of Cthulhu is amazing, by the way. Anyways, so is Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is also very fun, and Pathfinder is also very fun and awesome, and Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is amazing and awesome in itself, and RuneQuest is amazing and awesome in itself, and the Mutant Epoch is underappreciated and is awesome in itself. As I said before in the other video, and I say in this video, you should try other systems, even if it is like as a player, because when you try another system, you learn new things and you see how other systems solve problems, and you see the problems in those other systems, and by that exposure, it will help you grow as a player and as a person. Because the whole behavior in modern society, where you're either in A or in B, and if you're in B, you're the bad guy, and if you're in A, you're the good guy, and I happen to be in A, you're the bad guy because you're in B, or you lean towards B. That's bad. Don't be bad. I have to beat your crap out of you now, or yell at you, or lord my moral superiority over you, regardless of whether I have moral superiority or not. But anyways,
literally get comments saying, oh wow, this drama happened? Well, of course it did, because it's based around 5th edition. Like, what does that mean?
There is a lot of drama around 5th edition. It is a really simplified system. It has a lot of holes in it. There's a lot of awesome stuff about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. But there is a lot of holes in that system, and it's a really popular system, and a lot of people jump into the popular system to be popular, to make money on it. And then some people jump into it just because it is the popular system, and they just want to be a part of the popular thing now. Which kind of annoyed me because, I'm a video gamer. I grew up back in the late 80s and 90s, where if you said you were into video games, the jocks beat the crap out of you, the girls made fun of you, and you got ridiculed the shit out of repeatedly, and it's not fun. You go 10 or 15 years after that into the early 20s, in the early 2000s, where video gaming is popular now, and you run into the asshole jock who beat up the video gamers, who is trying to start his own video gaming YouTube channel, or has his own Call of Duty channel, and he actually references the bro culture in Call of Duty. But anyways, or the girls that insulted the gamers and the TTRPG scene back in the 80s and 90s, and then all of a sudden they are so into it now, and they've always been a part of it, and you're just a poser because you don't like the fact that they're in it. But back then they literally just got the jock boyfriends to beat the crap out of the nerds. So sometimes female gamers get crap from some guy gamers for being female gamers or girl gamers, because there was a point in time where women and jocks harassed and beat up nerds and gamers because they were into a thing, and that group that got beaten up gets upset because they now see the people who beat them up use their beauty and popularity and their elegant capability to communicate and talk in a pleasant fashion. The issues of beautiful people using their beautifulness to take over something and then beat up people that they beat up before by kicking them out of the thing they were into that got them beaten up originally by the people who were co-opting it. Yeah, that's a thing.
You are making generalizations about entire swaths of people just based on the role-playing game rule set they like to play, which literally ends up telling almost the same story as yours. Well, not the same story exactly, but there's a lot of crossover between Pathfinder and D&D campaigns. I just don't want this amazing game with an amazing supportive community to be known as the one that lashes out against other communities because they're not part of yours. I have seen such amazing, such uplifting people on Twitter, on YouTube, on Reddit, like just complimenting each other, helping people learn the system. So let's focus on that, can we?
I do agree with that.
Helping the people who want.
The kind of the annoying thing with this video is that he starts with the negative, so he ramps up into the he's the theater nerd. He's the theater nerd. He starts out kind of lukewarm fence sitter, and then he ramps up into intensity, and then goes over the intensity, and he kind of goes down, and he kind of tries to smooth everything out. He's past he's moving past the climax, and he's going into the resolution.
To play the game, because guess what?
The happy
if they
ending.
Have a great experience entering the community, they'll tell more people, and it's going to mean a lot more if Joe's friend tries Pathfinder and tells him, yeah, it was really good, than if you go up to Joe for the 8th time.
That is true, too. But also there is this messy thing where people do need to know that Pathfinder exists, Call of Cthulhu exists, the Mutant Epoch exists, Lion and Dragon exists, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay exists, Traveller exists. There's a lot of awesome game systems. Try them. The more you try them, the more you grow.
Say, have you tried playing Pathfinder? Reconsider it. Play my game! I'm getting heated, but it's just...
You see, the problem is, you go from try to, like, go ahead and do it. Do it now. That doesn't work. It's like, here's an option. Here's a link to a playlist. of how to play Pathfinder or about the Pathfinder culture and stuff like that. If you're interested, go ahead and check it out. I'll be here. I'll put together a Pathfinder campaign, or Call of Cthulhu campaign, or a Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay campaign. And if enough people want to jump in on it, that's awesome.
This is really important to me. The reputation of a community is so important.
I think he's so upset because for some strange reason, he is literally one of the biggest Pathfinder 2nd Edition YouTubers there is. He's basically the Matthew Mercer of Pathfinder, the closest thing to it currently. And he has some kind of ownership or attachment to it as possibly like the ambassador or something of it. And he's probably getting a little too worked up about it, and I've gotten a little bit too worked up in these 2 videos.
Because a lot of people call...
Or a video if I decide to try to edit this one onto the end of the other one.
All these communities home and family, and that might not be for you. That's fine. You don't have to call us family or whatever, you know? But respect...
Okay, I have to go back and point it out. People start thinking of their game as a family and a community, a culture, or a faction, persuasion. Once you shift from, this is a fun thing to do, let's go ahead and try and do it, you know? It's awesome, let's play some more. To like, this is literally our thing. We're gonna like get mutant epoch shirts. We're gonna get two-headed beautiful mutants and dog people or all kinds of. You gotta love it. You know the guy that actually William McAusland. He's an artist and he does amazing artwork. But anyways, I'm running the joke, okay? But anyways, there's a lot of stuff in there. But anyways, the moment you shift from this is a fun hobby to this is a community, a family, etc., that emotional attachment of being a part of a faction will oftentimes drive or grow drama and toxicity. You cannot have a community and not have toxicity in it. By becoming a community, it gains toxicity. It's inevitable.
Those who do, and don't tarnish the entire name of the game just because you want Ginny D to play Pathfinder. She doesn't...
Oh, dear goodness, no. Dear, if you happen to be watching this, No Nat, I don't know why you chose to say Ginny D. I don't know why I said it. But because you have said her name, there are bound to be dorks and nerds and geeks and other gamers who are going to bother the crap out of her over the fact that you used her name. If your goal is to stop people from harassing people, you definitely, absolutely do not want to use anyone's name at all, because there will be some dipshits that will go and bother her, or him, or they, or that, or what, or huh? You know, you have to be careful in this modern society what their labels are.
You have to play Pathfinder. She can play it if she wants to, otherwise, who cares? I was honestly going to add, like, a comedic bit to the end of this.
She should try Pathfinder, by the way. It would definitely be an enlightening experience, and I said try, not convert to Pathfinder. Go ahead. There's free rules online for Pathfinder. You got basically everything. It's just a matter of like printing out the player sheet and just giving it a try. Find someone. I'm quite sure No Nat will Game Master Jenny D.
Video of like 5 funny ways to get your friends to play Pathfinder, but honestly,
please do that. Please make a video of 5 funny ways is to get people to play Pathfinder.
I don't even want to mix the message. This is serious.
You've already mixed the message several times by making various jokes, and exaggerations at various points. The cat is out of the bag. You've already done that.
And I think it should be taken seriously, so sorry.
People need to unserious to an extent. Particularly when it comes to TRPGs, they need to really make it unserious as possible. Why so serious? Because that is literally the energy that creates... I don't know why I picked this up. Oh, you should play the Mutant Epoch. Treating a TTRPG seriously, or getting really serious about something in TTRPGs, is literally the energy that spawns the toxicity. I paused there for a moment as a person for dramatic effect. If you get serious, people get serious, and then toxicity is born or amplified by seriousness. So don't get serious. Why so serious?
This video isn't funny, but hopefully it at least opens some of your eyes, because I guarantee there's a lot of you out there who don't realize you're...
Yet again, reminder about the backfire effect. The more you try to hammer people with stuff, which weirdly enough is the point of his video, the more they're going to resist you. Even if you literally pull out tons of statistical research and put it right in front of them. This is big-ass book of exact mathematical proof that your position is wrong. People are like, no, 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 no.
Doing it.
Get lost.
You're just commenting, hey, you might not have this problem if you play Pathfinder 2E, period. End. That's your inflection. You're not trying to be rude. But if you are the 75th comment in a row that...
Yeah, it's here's the problem. If there's only one person that posts it, they are non-existent and they don't matter. If it's just a handful of people, you're a big YouTuber with 500,000 subscribers and only like 3 or 4 people post something, you're just going to ignore it. To have any impact, you have to have a large number of people will say something. It's just how it is. If it was a small number of people, it wouldn't have any effect, and the YouTuber would like, I literally do not care, you are nobody.
Type something similar, it comes across as, you might not have this problem if you played Pathfinder 2 instead. A lot is lost in translation.
Yes, that is the problem with the internet and text. A lot is lost in translation. That's why he's doing a video. That's why I'm doing this video. And the problem is, even with the videos, it's not going to solve it. Because it's something that's just inherent to humans. And it's inherent to culture. The moment you have variety of options in a culture, you get subcultures. And once you have subcultures, people start disagreeing and pestering each other about differences in the subcultures.
Of text. And when something is said in bulk, it very quickly looks like an angry mob who is making fun of someone for not conforming to their ideals. So take a breath before you comment telling someone.
That only works on people who are concerned about being in the popular group. People who don't give a crap about being in the popular group, don't care that 100 people show up to complain about something. It largely impacts people who seek popularity and want to be in the popular group.
Want to play Pathfinder. First edition, second edition. I don't even care what game it is. If you play D&D, take a minute before you say, why don't you just play this game? If you play Call of Cthulhu, don't tell people to play it because it's a better game. There's no such thing as a better game.
How about Fatal? No net. How about Fatal? And that's the reverse. That's a reverse answer.
Just different games.
There are some really bad games, by the way. There are some really bad TTRPGs. There's some really good ones. There are actually a gradient range of quality. The original Dungeons and Dragons. I'm actually pulling down the box. Original Dungeons and Dragons is a hot mess of just everything scattered all over the place. It's not an easy game or system to even like figure out how it runs. You literally need another gaming system called Chainmail to at least get the foundation of it.
I've said it before, and I will say it until the day I die. The best system is the one your table enjoys playing. If you're all having fun,
that is true.
That's the best system for you. The end. A quick little addendum here at the end as well.
Yeah, the end, and then a quick little addendum.
I don't think you mean harm by this, but please stop with the joke.
First and foremost, the quick little addendum exists there because he is in an emotional state and he feels that he really needs to hammer home the message. Which is like, yeah. A video about hammering home the message or making suggestions repeatedly is not a good idea. And then to repeatedly make suggestions or run over the same idea and over again. It's the same thing. It's doing the same thing. Complaining about D&D 5e players, there's shitting on Pathfinder players, there's in the Pathfinder players, there's complaining shitting on the D&D 5e players, and then you get people who shit on the shit-ons. You see where the multiplication of drama is, and then there's my videos. This video, or these two videos, if I did not edit this together, which I'm terrible at digital editing, because all my training is in physical art media like painting and sculpture and stuff like that, and woodworking and metalworking. Yeah.
Jokes. I use jokes in quotations. Every time I talk about 5e, or every time I post something on Twitter, I always get a comment being like, yeah, they can play what they want, but we still know we're the best system. Stop it!
He's complaining about jokes, and then he jokes, and then he's joking, and then people show up and then like joking again. And if you're starting a joke, if you're starting a line of jokes, and then you complain about people jumping in and throwing jokes on top of your jokes, and then yet again, there's also this issue with being too serious again.
It's not funny. It just makes you look pig-headed, like you're talking about these people like they're less than you for liking a different game. You remind me of the Call of Duty jocks in high school. End of video.
Yeah, he just reminded me how freaking old I am. Just with that whole Call of Duty jocks in high school. Okay. Call of Duty became popular after high school for me. So, there you go. So that's it. I'm not going to ramble on anymore after this part because I actually let all my rambles occur during the video of his video. So, thank you very much for watching this video. This is going to be the rare occasion where I post anything drama-y on my channel. Generally, I try to avoid posting drama shit. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Have a delightful day, a nice night, a wonderful week, and a magnificent month. And see you next time.